And he goes, how to build authority with an audience or something like that. Like, so that's the name of the talk. How to build authority with an audience. Um, so just a quick thing about me. I started building websites with rocks and sticks and clay back in the early 90s, mid 90s, and was on the developer bus all the way up until about 4 or 5 years ago, where I made a switch into UI and UX, kind of focusing on that from a wireframe and an experience point of view. Got into big data. So currently I am a UI and UX manager at this company here. So Cervello is out of Boston, and I spend my day working with clients and helping them figure out what story they need to tell with data to build an experience that will connect to whatever reporting tool that we're using on the front end, like a Tableau or could be D3JS, and connect it to whatever backend we happen to be using. So that's what I do now. But I want to tell you about an audience and how this all connects. So about 10 years ago, I was heavily into development and thought, I want to start a blog. All these blogging was the big thing. And I wanted to get a blog off the ground because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I had a couple books in me, and could that become a company? I wasn't sure, but I knew that if I started reaching out to people through the web, I would end up with an audience. So I had an idea that I wanted to create a book. So I started writing articles. I come up with my blog, Bonneville. It probably has been updated in a while. Yeah, that's an old post, but that's incidental to the story. I started blogging here, and when I got the bug, I wrote over 100 articles in about 3 months. So I just went crazy. I took everything I knew, everything I could think of about graphic design and web design, and just poured it into 100 articles in a very, very short period of time. Knowing that most of the articles were not going to get read. But having read about blogging at the time, everyone said, you need to just write. You don't know what the magic formula is, but you're going to have one or two articles that are like this. Everything else is going to be down here. You're going to have a couple articles that are way up here. And the term back in the day, and it's still applicable today, is called an anchor article. So I was writing, came up with an article, and was kind of reaching out to different designers, kind of having conversations, and became friendly with some of the founders of Smashing Magazine. Smashing Magazine at this point was a pretty small blog, and they were putting out posts, like 2 or 3 posts a day, called 600 great looking fonts, 400 cool looking backgrounds, 300 of the coolest, like whatever you want to stick in there. They were just doing these massive list posts. We got to be friendly. I had some list posts. They had way better list posts. And I had this one article on combining typefaces. It was called something like 19 top font combinations or whatever. And there really wasn't anything like it on the web at that time. I had 19 of the most popular fonts from all of history combined with themselves, and I made a nice PDF, and you could download the PDF and da da da. They tweeted it, and at that point, they probably had 200,000 or 300,000 followers, and it just went, from my point of view, it went viral. My page on my article, my page on my blog, that page alone started getting thousands of hits a day. It put the blog on the map. So now I had an audience coming to me every day because of this one anchor article. Because I had been talking to people, it went crazy. The SEO poured in. It affected all the other articles on the website. So now I've got this traffic coming in every day for people looking at this one article on my site called font combinations. I said, well, I've got a captive audience. So what do I do with that? So I took the audience and created a book around that. And the book is now in its 10th anniversary. This is the print version. I had a PDF version for many years, the digital version, and sold somewhere around 7,000 or 8,000 copies of the book in digital format. And eventually it got pirated. It's going to happen with anything digital. So last year I went print. Now I have a whole series of new books coming out, but they're all going to be print. But the point of all this is, again, this isn't really a talk. This is just me telling you some stuff that happened. That if you build an audience through your communications, you're going to get people will give you trust, and the trust can translate into money. Now, in this case here, it's a book, and this is the print version. The other version, I had people from all over the world contacting me. This has been written up on a lot of other blogs, and it all happened because I reached out, became friends with the right people. The right people just had that magic ingredient of the right tweet on the right day. The tweet goes viral, and all of a sudden you have an audience and you have instant authority. This applies to whether you have a book or whether you're trying to get a company off the ground or if you're just a solo developer, right? I think often of Elliot's what's the point system on Stack Overflow called? Reputation, right? Elliot's reputation on Stack Overflow is exactly the same thing, right? So he had this really high reputation. Someone calls him and hires him, and now he's off to the races working on startups. So the sum total of the whole thing is reach out to people, make content, whatever that means. Make content. It could be writing a blog, it could be tweeting, it could be coming to events like this and just reaching out to people. You don't know what's going to happen, but nothing happens unless you're reaching out. When something does happen and you gain that trust, you have the opportunity to capitalize it and offer products that have a value back to your audience. So that's what happened to me. I would encourage everyone else to keep the networking and keep the writing and keep the handshaking and all that good stuff, because stuff happens.